this entire time, every day that you haven't been able to have this evaluation, I've been losing money. When I got hired and told it would be 90 days, I looked at my finances, I looked at my savings account and said, I can make it for 90 days. If I was told it'd be 4 months, that would have been different. And I was told that this evaluation would happen at 90 days.
And as I said before, we do the evaluations after 90 days. 90 days is not a guarantee. Did I have you sign anything that said that I will do this in 90 days?
You told me it would be at 90 days.
I said it would be after 90 days, following 90 days. I'm sorry if you felt that this day was a negotiation to increase your wage. That's not what this is about.
If you don't at least offer me back pay, then I will turn in my 2 weeks notice right now.
A viewer of the channel submitted audio of his 90-day review at his job, and it didn't go very good at all. His manager was like, yeah, at 90 days, you know, we'll do your performance evaluation and we'll look at what you did, and then we'll give you more money, which is pretty normal at most jobs. You know, meet your quarterly evaluations, negotiate your little boost in salary there, and companies are pretty notorious for putting it off. And when you get there, they say, oh, sorry, we don't have the budget for it. Or they find ways to keep pushing that date further and further out, and when they can do that, then they don't have to pay you more money. To be completely honest, I think the way that the viewer that sent this in went about this conversation wrong. Not because they did anything wrong, but just their choice of words or choice of choosing to speak when they should have just been quiet and just said, okay, well, I'll take that and go get a new job. Let me play you the audio here. So they're going in the room, they're going to sit down, and they start doing the performance evaluation, which, by the way, this is a cell phone shop in Georgia, and the boss's name is Bill, and he sounds like Dr. Phil, and I can't get that image out of my head.
Uses and maintains tools and equipment properly, 3, average. Maintains inventory properly, 2, it needs improvement. Organized repairs, including processing RMA, 2. That all ties in together. There's 2.
Look at this performance review. It's just like, oh, that's a 5, oh, that's a 2, oh, that's a 2, that's a 2, that's a 2, yeah. There's no thought about any of these questions, and there's no real objective way to measure performance. Like, how much is enough empathy to give the customer? Hold on, it's coming.
Takes initiative and completes tasks with little or no supervision, 4. Smiles, greets, and thanks each guest, 3. Listens to and provides correct and concise information, 3. Conduct follows directions, observes company policies, 3. Adheres to the code of conduct, 4. Open and close store proficiently, 3.
This question that's on here, able to open and close the store proficiently, 3. That's not his job. He's not a closer. That's like the dude above him. This guy's boss is the one who opens and closes the shop and deals with all the money at the end of the night and all the cash and all that stuff. And so the fact that this question is even on there when it's not his job is dumb. Obviously, you're going to go into this performance review. He can't give you all 5s. He can't say you're doing excellent. He's got to find ways to not offer you more money.
Overall, just some supervisor comments that Zane had for you. Was overall great worker, appears to enjoy a job, and strives to work.
So these are overall comments that his boss, not this guy talking, not Dr. Phil here, but this guy's store boss, he has glowing feedback about this employee.
I'm going to be honest, right now I'm in a quandary, and I'm not going to lie. I was having a conversation with Zane earlier.
It kind of jumps to this topic because I guess there's a guy at the store that's just about to quit, and he's not sure if he should rehire someone or if they can just make the 2 people they have left work even more. The boss presents this or tries to present this as an opportunity. Like, look, he's going to quit, and we're not going to hire someone else to pick that up. But I want to give you the opportunity to show me what you can do. So the way that they gaslight this and present this as an opportunity to him is silly, but this is what that conversation is.
When I let Pete know that Carlos was going to be leaving, his thing is, are you replacing him? And I'm not going to lie. Right now, as slow as we've been, no, I don't want to.
It's funny, he says, right now, it's as slow as we've been, I don't want to. But then at the beginning, and the whole reason why this 90-day review was delayed is because of how busy everyone is. But then right here, it's convenient, you know, oh, we're so slow.
So I'm going to be honest, for right now, I want you guys to really pick up the slack, and I want to see where you can run with it.
I want you guys to pick up the slack and run with it. I mean, I bet you do. You're going to get more money for that? No. No. You know, it's just you 2 running the store. So, you know, we're looking at you specifically. If you do good, you know, there might be things. There's not things. There's no things for them to work towards. But it sounds good when bosses tell you that. We've all been lied to by bosses before, promising something and then never getting it. And so this guy's like, yeah, whatever, I'll try, but I just want you to be aware that I'm not sales, I'm repair tech.
So, I mean, I don't have any issue at all with that. The only real hang up for me is that I don't pretend to be good at sales. I don't pretend that I take naturally to that. It's something that I'm actually very, very adverse to. More than willing to try. I just would start to get concerns if that became part of my job description.
Which I think isn't honestly a fair thing to say as an employee. You'd be like, yeah, look, I get paid while I'm here. I'll make a good faith effort to try and do sales, but it's like taking an introverted programmer that wants to be left alone all day and then telling them to go out on a car lot and just start selling cars. Like there's two different skill sets. They're very different, and so I think that's a respectable way to say it.
I don't know about you, but any of the years that I was a manager, that it's not my job, or I don't want to do that, were two of the things that set me off.
I don't know about you, but as a manager, when people used to say that's not my job and I don't want to do it, that set me off. Yeah, because you're not doing anything anyways, Mr. Manager. I bet it does make you mad when people refuse to do something that's not part of their job description. He thinks he's like God here. It's weird.
And those were always things that really got under my skin as a supervisor, to where it's just like, I'm sorry, did you feel that was actually a question?
So right there, the guy in the evaluation giggles a little bit because he wants his money, which I think is understandable. But the boss himself, Bill here, he thinks that he's just literal God. Did you think that was a question? Because it wasn't. You do as I say. It's like he's some authority figure. Bro, you're just some middle manager that manages cell phone stores. Congratulations, Bill.
Was there anything that you had any concerns with, qualms?
No, as long as I get a copy of that so I can work on those things.
You can't get a copy of it. It's something that goes in the Fluke file. So
I get notes.
There. So this guy asked for a copy of the evaluation paper, and the manager goes, sorry, you can't have a copy of the evaluation paper. It goes into the employee file. But if you're in a performance evaluation, performance review, whatever it is, like you should be able to take the notes of what you're being told about why you're doing bad or good, or what you should approve on. It makes no sense. But he's like, I got to put it in my employee file. You can't hold on to this. And listen to his reasoning for why he can't give you the piece of paper or a copy of the piece of paper for you to take home and look at what you need to work on. It makes no sense.
It's one of those things that you just ask me, time out, hey, what's this or what's this? And Zane,
that's the main thing.
And Zane will keep you updated too.
So he says, this was just one of those things. You can come ask me if I'm improving on this particular thing or not. What happens if you ask the wrong question? So he's just supposed to go around and say, hey, have I improved enough on this? Hey, have I improved enough on this? Hey, am I number 4 on this yet? How do you know? How do you know what the specific... It's so dumb. Like, you should be able to see what you need to work on.
I just want to know what I need to work on.
Yeah.
That's all.
So that's something that we have been, and that's something that we're working to improve, is that in a lot of situations we have been... It's not something that I want to instruct him to go, hey, go call Austin and tell him that he sucked because of this today.
So he just starts ranting and making up this story about how I can't let you have this piece of paper because I don't want you to have bad feedback. I don't know. He's talking about like, well, I don't want your boss to have to call you and tell you that you sucked at number 3. Why would he do that anyways? Why? This makes no sense. Just give him the copy of the paper, Bill.
Or, hey, go message him. I don't want to do that because at that point I want you to take your day. You've earned your day. I don't want to do it that way. So it's something we're going to work out internally before we do.
It's something we're going to work on internally is the manager's classic favorite last line.
This is the tough part of the conversation to have.
So he brings up the tough part of the conversation.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful or rude in any way.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try to be candid with you.
Yeah.
Man to man here. Target, they're hiring 16-year-olds at $15 an hour. UBIF in Macon, starting at $17.30 with benefits. Simply Max 14. I've anticipated all along that the number I'd be offered would be around 10. I don't feel like that's competitive at all. If you take into account commission and tips, it comes out to about $2.50 an hour. Like I said before, I love working here. That's worth a few dollars an hour to me.
So I probably wouldn't have done that if I were you. I wouldn't have said, hey, these other places pay more. I probably would have just gone to those places. And this is the part I think a lot of people in the comments would also say, like, the mistake was getting that job to begin with. But when you need money, right? So you got to get what you can. And if you were expecting $10 an hour, you can't be like, look at Target. They're paying $15 an hour. They're not going to be like, oh, yeah, they're paying 15. We're going to start paying 15. They're not going to do that. These are just POS, crappy, in and out kind of hires that they get. Just the turnover rate is insane because they're not paying you anything, and they promise you commission, which sounds nice on paper. Oh, you get percentages of what you sell, but then when you calculate it all out, it's $2.58 an hour. So the most this man can make is $12.58 an hour. And so he's like, yo, Target over here paying, 15 an hour by default. Obviously you can't say it to your boss and expect a great reaction, but props to you for doing it, for getting out there. And I think you knew what you were doing all along. I think that you probably had a hunch this wouldn't go well, but good on you for doing it. Like, I think you were planning on leaving anyways, so you might as well just state it how it is, man. Speak your truth. Speak my truth.
Easy. But to me, I feel like a fair wage is more like 12 or 13.
I have to disagree with you.
I don't know if you caught that right there, but he goes, I think a fair wage is like $12 or $13 an hour. And the boss goes, I disagree.
I have to disagree with you.
I bet you would. And he's not even asking for the same amount as them. He's just asking for 12 or 13. Target over here getting 15 an hour. So then he goes on with about how it is fair because you came to our business and you didn't know anything, except you did know something. And you were a manager and have previous manager experience. But we trained you, and we could have started you at minimum wage, but we started you at $9 an hour.
You came into the business not knowing anything. We have spent the 90 past days actually training you in any of these jobs, with the exception of Target. That's a basic customer service job.
Target is still demanding, like being on your feet all day, because cashiers can't sit down. It's the dumbest thing we have in America. You can't have a seat. It makes you look lazy. But like cashiers standing up on their feet all day, dealing with Karens, mean customers, rude people all day, basic customer, like, yeah, you don't have to do math and calculus and engineering on the job, but like, it's taxing. Dealing with customers all day is taxing. If you want to see someone's true colors, you want to see how someone treats people, go to a restaurant and watch how they treat the waitress or the waiter or the server or whoever it is. How you treat people in the service industry is that's your true colors.
We have spent the time investing in you and training you on how to do these things.
We spent time investing in you and training you. Guess what? My first engineering job was like $68,000 a year. They trained me too. I knew nothing. I just got what I was worth up front. But again, this is not the same type of salaried engineering job. But the premises are still the same. The same thing happens in these large corporate jobs. Like, they'll promise you something and then delay it, or we did this for you. And anyways,
we would love to pay better, but right now that's not an option.
We would love to pay better, but right now that's not an option. Except it is, because you said that there are no budgetary concerns.
Right now, there really have not been too many of those budgetary concerns.
But we can't pay you more money. Sorry, $10 an hour is the best we can do.
With that in mind, it doesn't seem reasonable or fair to say that if you reach higher tier commission, you can make more money, when sometimes it's completely out of my control. Target employees, Walmart's paying 13, Kroger's paying 12 with benefits. They're getting that for showing up. They're getting that for clocking in. Now, I'm not out here asking for 17 an hour.
Also, what I'm hearing is that you feel that you're being taken advantage of.
The dude just wants more than $10 an hour plus some arbitrary commission that depends on how busy the stores are to make a living. It goes back to like serving, like waitresses, people at restaurants. Like, the legal minimum wage is like $2 an hour, right? And then tips are supposed to make up just pay your people. Just pay your people enough to live with in case your restaurant is dead. Like, it's not the customer's job to pay the wage. Dude who owns a restaurant, pay the wage.
I do understand that, you had to take a risk on me, and you have to train me, and there's still more learning to do, but how much more training is that? If it's going to be another year before I get a chance to negotiate salary, and
there's no negotiation.
Did you hear how he just gets shut down there? It's like, okay, I understand. I'm still new to the company. I probably still have some training to do, but how much more training will I have to do before we can start talking about the ability to, maybe give an increase in pay? And he just shuts him down and says, this is not a negotiation.
So that's something right now I want to be frank about. There's no negotiation.
It's funny because it's just some middle manager. There's no negotiation. Why are you power tripping with money that's not yours, that you can't give it to yourself? It's in the business bank account. Someone's quitting. Someone is doing great work and asking for a bit more money. You have no budgetary concerns, as you've said, but you can't pay basic customer service jobs, hourly? Sounding more and more like a POS here, Bill.
It's not a negotiation. It's a thing of we're here, this is what we're doing. We're not saying that, you know, we started you off above a training wage at the time. You know, we could have brought you in a training wage, which is basically minimum wage.
We could have brought you in at a training wage, which is basically minimum wage. Yeah, I mean, you could have. You could try that, but nobody's going to apply to your shitty job.
We don't. We start people off at, you know, better than what a minimum wage job is.
Yeah, minimum wage job. We start people off better than minimum wage. $7.25, I think, is minimum wage in Georgia. But we could have done that, but we gave you more. Okay, so I mean, inflation has increased, minimum wage has not. So the fact that you're bragging about paying $1.80 more than minimum wage that was established like 30 years ago means really nothing, Bill. Okay, so this is the part where the dude's boss is in there, not Bill, not this POS manager, but the dude's actual, I don't know, store supervisor boss. He's a company simp here. He's a big company simp and starts talking about how money isn't everything.
$10 an hour base pay, and then average $150 in tips a month, and then if you hit 12.5, which honestly, with Carlos leaving, and
It's easy to do.
It's easy to do. It's easy to hit $12.50 an hour if we got customers. But that's the thing with commission, right? You don't always have customers. And again, this is a little bit on you, a person who sent me the video. You know, don't take crappy jobs if you know that they're crappy. But again, I understand. Like if you thought that you were going to get more money at the end of 90 days, then yeah, and commission was irrelevant to you, but it was there, then yeah, I could see why you still chose to pursue this job. But I don't know if I would go through this entire conversation about how other people are getting paid more. I'd just internalize that I know other places pay better, and then at the end of the day, here's my 2 weeks, and I quit. But he still wants his back pay since his 90-day evaluation where he gets a raise has been delayed for a month.
At the end of the day, we're not here to argue. We're here to everybody get along and everybody do everything. I'm sorry if you felt that this day was a negotiation to increase your wage. That's not what this is about.
I'm sorry if you thought this was a negotiation to increase your wage. That's not what this is about. Typically, that's what performance reviews and performance evaluations are there, Bill.
I'm not saying this to be offensive or to attack you or anything like that. Being man-to-man, telling you how it makes me feel.
Yeah. Telling
me that if I make top-tier commission, I should make $2.50 less than a cashier at Target.
Yeah, so if he's making $12.50, working his ass off, selling maximum amounts of commission, he gets $12.50 an hour, which is still less than what people at Target are getting paid for just showing up.
When you just told me I was a satisfactory employee, just told me you were satisfied and happy with what I'm doing and have minor suggestions, it hurts.
Right now, the public has a general consensus.
So it gets a little political here. He starts talking about how workers feel like they have the advantage, but it's going to go away soon when the country goes back to work. So here you go.
That they have employers over the barrel and they can demand whatever wage they want to demand. At some point, this country is going to go back to work. When they go back to work, if people think that these wages are going to continue this way, the sign-on bonuses, and they are sorely incorrect. Because I'll tell you what, it's this administration that is currently running this country into the fucking ground.
Now you gotta remember, again, this is Georgia, which is typically a red state, but in this last election it was blue, but I'd say a majority of people there are still pretty red.
I'm not gonna quit over it, but I am gonna look for other jobs. That's the honest truth. If I don't find anything, well, then here I am, you know. That is what it is. I'm not gonna...
See, right, like, I wouldn't have said this. I don't know why you said this. Like, the things that you're saying out loud, you keep them in here. You keep them in here, and then when he's done blabbering his dumb middle manager mouth, you go and get a new job instead. Or, you know, spend time on the computer while they're not looking for a new job. But, like, you don't say that out loud, because then the conversation is not going to go in your favor. But I think that you were just frustrated here, and you knew what you were doing, so we'll keep listening.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm happy about it, but I'm also not going to be unruly. You mentioned putting me at $10 on the next pay cycle. Mm-hmm. I was told that this evaluation would happen at 90 days.
It's not retroactive and ain't going to be. So, stop.
What a dick.
Hold on. I feel like I at least deserve a chance to talk about it.
Right on you.
This entire time, every day that you haven't been able to have this evaluation, I've been losing money. When I got hired and told it would be 90 days, I looked at my finances, I looked at my savings account, said I can make it for 90 days.
I get it, 100%. I get it. Yeah, that's what most people do when they need a job, right? You look at what you can afford to take, and then you do what you got to do to keep the lights on, put gas in the car, food on the table, you know?
If I was told it'd be 4 months, that would have been different.
Exactly, and that's what they do, right? And for some people, this matters, right? Like, oh, after 90 days, we'll give you a raise, and we can talk about it then. And then that just never happens. But this guy needed that money, right? And so when you give someone your word, which then you say, well, it wasn't on paper, so it doesn't count, that just makes people very frustrated. So I get your frustration here.
I've had to borrow money from my mom. I've had to start picking up extra hours at a second job.
Oh, a second job?
A second job, because
and
I'm
just now telling us about a second job.
You see how upset? Just now telling us about a second job? What, you didn't know about it for the longest while, so why does it matter now? The thing is, like, this isn't the owner of the company that's talking to this employee. It's not the owner. It's just some middle management guy that thinks he's God, but he's also below the owner. He just happens to be above this guy. So it makes no sense why people take this so personally.
behind on my car payment.
Okay.
Because I was expecting more money coming in. Now, a second job hasn't affected y'all at all. Y'all didn't even know because it's after hours. Told them up front. My other job gets absolute priority. No caving on that at all. And that's why y'all haven't noticed. But I needed that because I needed that money. It's been 29 days.
Homie's working 2 jobs, just trying to get by, goes to his 90-day or his 120-day evaluation. Here's a 50-cent raise. Like, come on.
29 days past due.
29 days, yeah. Like, there's no reconciling that for me. There's no making that an okay thing for me.
Okay. Austin, if you don't feel that we take care of our employees or we do right by our employees, we're going to have a big parting of agreements because
We're going to have a big parting of agreements. God. Okay, Dr. Phil. It's, I get it though, right? Like, I get it. Like, if they say that you're going to get more money after 90 days, which...
I feel contrary.
I was asking for 12 to 13 so that with top tier commission and tips, I could at least make as much as a target employee.
So at the end of the day, and that's great, that's the target employee. That's the target employee now. A year ago, they were making $10 an hour. Let's be honest. A year ago, they were making $10 an hour.
So he's saying that a year ago, before all these people stopped coming into work and stopped refusing to get, paid garbage, they were getting paid garbage. And so, this is just a temporary thing. I don't know. This guy, I think he's a little bit delusional. The boss, Bill, here, he's a little bit delusional. If he thinks he can just offer crappy wages forever, then you're just not going to have that good of employees, right? You're going to have people that come in, realize this is garbage, and they can make more elsewhere. By starting at Target, you're going to have to increase your money at some point. You don't get to be like, well, we take good care of you here.
I know that it's possible, Bill. You're offering me $10 an hour. Let's say 13, that's $3 more an hour. I work 7.5 hours a day. Okay? That is a little over $20 a day. This business can afford $20 a day. Pete gives out discounts like crazy for his family. We give out discounts for customer satisfaction.
Okay. Conversation's at hand.
He's so mad. Okay, this conversation has met an end.
I said my piece on it. It's non-negotiable. We're not doing it.
If you don't at least offer me back pay, then I will turn in my 2 weeks notice right now.
Austin, some claps in the chat for Austin. If you don't give me my back pay, I'm just going to turn in my 2 weeks right now. Sounds really cool. Sounds really epic. Sounds really dope. Good on you for doing it. Just really dumb to say that. Just, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't get fired right there. But let's keep listening.
And I'm not trying to force your hand. I understand that you're not going to respond well to an ultimatum. I'm not expecting you to change your mind. But I am telling you right now that that's what happens, because if this is how you're going to treat me, the best thing about this job is all a facade. It's all a lie.
I'll have a
if you're going to treat
conversation
me
with
like
Pete
that.
about it, but I'll be honest, I pretty much know where that's going to go. But I'll get back to you. How's that sound?
When?
If that's not good enough, then we've got a more fundamental issue.
I'll give you my word, and if that's not good enough, we got a fundamental issue. Bill, you've already crapped out on your word, so Bill's a piece of shit.
I can't take your word for it because I took your word for it that it'd have this evaluation in 90 days.
Ooh, got him. Fucking burn, dude. That's the, obviously this is not going anywhere good. It's a complete train wreck right now. it's not a good situation to be in. I'm surprised you didn't get fired still after saying that. But good on you for saying what everyone else is thinking. I would have took your word, but I already did, you know. Like.
And I trusted that you would have the integrity to admit that it was your fault that it took too long and that you would make it right, like we do for our customers. If you want to get back to me about that, if I like what I hear and it changes my answer, then okay. But for the time being, unless I hear the right thing, this is my 2 weeks notice.
For the time being, unless I hear the right thing, this is my 2 weeks notice. Dude, I wish we could all do that. It's just, most of the time, you're just going to get fired. You just got to have to, you got to play the game a little bit more. You got to listen to what they say. Watch them hand out their secrets. Watch them come up with BS and slide it in front of you. That you already know is BS. You already know it's lies. You already know that they're just making stuff up to keep you at your low pay or not promoting you or changing your title or whatever it is that you're going for at work. They're masters at not giving you that.
I can find jobs that will treat me better than this. I hate it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to go home and cry about this tonight. I am.
I hope that you didn't. Bill's not worth your tears.
I really wanted this to be a job that I was going to stay at, but this is beyond.
Because I was looking at you for possible management.
Oh, it's always classic when they come right out at the end there, right? It's upsetting because I was looking at you for possible management. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. This is what they say to you. This is the bullshit that these bosses say. I was looking at possible management, but now it just looks like, you know, that sucks. You don't get to do that, Bill. You don't get to be like, well, we were going to do this, which I've never said anything about to you prior, but I just wanted you to know that was on the table for us and we were looking at it. That helps no one.
But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Okay, so now I'm just going to jump to the end. So a few days later, he makes a few phone calls. They come back and meet again to talk about what's going to happen now that he said, if you don't give me my back pay, I'm going to quit. And I think we all know how this goes.
More so than anything else, I'm going to be honest. He's very hurt. He's very disappointed.
So the franchisee owner, Pete, up here, is very hurt and very disappointed that one of his employees will quit because Target people get paid better than cell phone repair technicians. Okay, Pete.
And we will not be acquiescing to any of it.
He says, I can't really understand. He's like, we will not be able to entertain that request. Essentially, they say, no, we're not giving you $13 an hour, which, again, is still less than the Target people.
The manner in which you did this was outside the norm. If you had have taken a more humble approach to things, maybe the outcome would be different.
So he says, if you had been more humble and taken a different approach, maybe things would have been different, which isn't true. You could have been as humble as ever, right? You could have brought the knee pads, the Listerine, got really good at unbuckling belts. Like, you could have been real humble, and you still would have not got that raise, because that's just not the type of people they are. This is just obviously some cheapo people trying to run a business and underpay people for as long as they can until they go quit, which is what you're doing. And then they'll get someone else and tell you everything they told you. Oh, in 90 days we'll do a review, and they'll do the same thing to that person.
What outcome? What approach would you have preferred?
If you'd come to me and said, you know, hey, a month ago when you were having money problems, hey, Bill, I'm having money problems. Is there anything I can do to improve my standing? Is there anything I can do to earn more?
Why would you ever go to your boss and say, hey, I'm having money problems. Is there anything I can do to earn more money? That's a bad idea. Never get your personal finances that they don't already know about you into your company. Don't mix those two. It's not a good idea.
I trusted that things would be made right, and I didn't feel the need to come to you. And for one, that's not an easy thing to do to anyone, let alone your employer.
So basically, they're just going to refuse to give him the back pay, which is, how much is that? Like maybe $800? Maybe $800 that they would owe him?
I trusted you, and I waited, and I was patient. I brought it up twice in a month, and that was it. Didn't pester, didn't
say that you did.
So I don't understand what I did wrong. I think it should be obvious that most people, when they hear after 90 days, are going to assume shortly after 90 days. A week, I wouldn't have even mentioned it. 2 weeks, still probably wouldn't have mentioned it. But it was after that 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, this has been a whole pay period.
And there were extenuating circumstances in that time frame.
I understand, but when extenuating circumstances,
Isn't that great? There were extenuating circumstances. They never explain the circumstances. They just say, well, there are things that were happening. Yeah, okay. That's always happening, Bill.
that affect other people, the right thing to do is to try to minimize the impact as much as possible, to try to make it right. Do you feel bad at all that...
Do I feel bad that you're in a position? Yeah, I do. Because generally, Pedro and I are both caring individuals. I pulled money out of my wallet before and handed people.
Justifying himself, saying, I've given money to people out of my own wallet once. Sorry, that doesn't make up for this.
For their children and their families. So yeah, I am a caring individual.
You're a caring individual because you're gonna let this employee who you've trained for 90 days that has done a great job and probably brought you thousands in sales, you're gonna let him go over $3 an hour. I mean, obviously the way that you went about it and the things that you said probably aren't gonna let you keep your job, but still, you don't sound very caring, Bill. You sound like every other person from Georgia with fake hospitality.
But also, I'm not going to be held ransom. Go get your resignation.
It's in my back pocket, signed and dated.
Good. By all means, I'm willing to accept it.
My last day is next Friday. You don't deserve 2 weeks.
My last day is next Friday. You don't deserve 2 weeks. Obviously, you're just upset and angry here and speaking what you will tell everyone about in your story about how you quit your job. But you shouldn't have said you don't deserve 2 weeks, because that's, they're going to instant fire you on that. And
Oh no, actually, your last minute is right now. Get the fuck out and move now.
did you hear what he says? He goes, actually, no, your last minute is right now. Get the fuck out. Viewer who sent me the video, I understand your frustration. This didn't necessarily need to happen, but this is what happens when middle managers try to gaslight you. Thank you for sending in this content. Bill is a piece of shit. You deserve better, my friend. Good on you for holding it together and not getting angry. I just don't feel like that was the right way to go about it. I just would have kept it all inside and been like, okay, thank you. I'll work on doing better, and then immediately go find a new job. But anyways, that's all I got for this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and share it to r/anti-work. I'm sure they would enjoy this type of content. And if you, the viewers here on YouTube, did, go ahead and click the like button, subscribe if you want to see me expose the corporate world some more. Not very often we get leaked audio clips, which, by the way, this is legal. Georgia is a one-party consent state. You don't have to ask someone else to record their audio. So this is totally legal to do. Anyways, I wish there was more content like this I could do. So if you have any recordings out there of you telling your boss off and then quitting, I'd like to make a compilation of that on this channel. Sometimes those people that are thinking about quitting their jobs just need that little motivation. I just really wish I could tell my boss what I think once. If you do, record it and send it to me, as long as it's in a one-party consent state, and I'll put it on the channel. All right, guys. Hope you have a good one. See you next time.